Aloha. Al Gonzalez in Hawaii. Yeah, I decided to make this video. I've been posting a lot of this, concerning this topic that I'm going to discuss in this video, and but a lot of people tell me I should make a video. So, so I'm making this video. It's just my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I feel if you're going to have an opinion, you need to have an opinion on the facts, the right history of these islands. Heck, just go to the library, Google Hawaiian history, and it's amazing how much literature there is out there. So you can get it right. Then you make your opinion. You make your opinion not on, somebody else's opinion. So many of what I read and what I hear about is based on somebody else's opinion. It really doesn't, fit the facts. Anyway. Also, I want to mention that I'm reading from a page on my website. The website is OurFutureHawaii, one word, .com. OurFutureHawaii.com. So anyhow, I'm going to read from it, and hopefully it'll give others a new look on, and also a new opinion of certain things. I read, I see on TV, issues about the Kanaka Maoli, the Native Hawaiians, Mauna Kea, Haleakala. Now we got this vote coming up for sovereign government. Anyway, I wonder what happened to the Hawaii I grew up in. I grew up on Waikiki back in the 40s and the 50s, and then moved to Kailua on the island of Oahu in 1954. I'm 73 years old. I've seen the past. I'm in the future, and it's amazing the changes that have evolved during my lifetime. I mean, my mother's from Kauai. Our Hawaiian family is from Kauai. Makaweli Valley, which is Mauka of Waimea on the island of Kauai. When my dad worked overseas, we used to go to my mother's home there in Makaweli Valley, surrounded by taro patches. There was 2 ditches, one for washing and cleaning, one for drinking and using water for cooking in these 2 ditches. There was no running water. There was no toilets. There was outhouses, and so I've seen that side of Hawaii. And then of course, we moved to Kailua in 1954, and when I was in the 7th grade, I started at Kamehameha, graduated from Kamehameha in 1960. So then you went to college at Brigham Young in Provo. I also went to the University of Hawaii, and it's been an amazing life. Anyway, like I said, hey, visit my page, OurFutureHawaii.com. Click on Brief History of Hawaii for a more detailed history of our islands. I'm just going to cover a few salient points. Also, you can click on the other links, find out about me and my family, and just another Hawaiian family trying to make it in Hawaii, just like everybody else. And I'm Hawaiian, Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese, Filipino. My grandfather, who hanai'd my mother and her brothers, is Japanese. His name was Shima Taniguchi. So one of my middle names is Shima. So I don't have any Japanese blood, but anyway. Okay, now this is something I never knew about. Back in the old days, there was a caste system. There was the ali'i, the class consisted, of course, of the kings and high and lesser chiefs, and they governed with divine power called mana. I mean, divine power. They were like gods. They could kill. They killed people for stepping on their shadows, for eating a fish that was reserved for the ali'i alone. I mean, it was pretty strict and horrific, actually. Then there were the kahuna. They were the priests who conducted the religious ceremonies at the heiau and elsewhere. Professionals were also included in this caste: master carpenters, boat builders, chanters, dancers, genealogists, physicians, and healers. Then the biggest group was the maka'ainana, commoners who farmed, fished, and exercised the simpler crafts. They labored not only for themselves and their families, but to support the chiefs and kahuna. Then there was the kawa. They were the war captives or the descendants of war captives. Marriage, interaction, etc. between the kawa and the higher classes was strictly forbidden, punishable by death. The kawa worked for the chiefs and were often used as human sacrifices. They were not the only ones used for sacrifice. Lawbreakers of all castes or defeated opponents were also used. And the indigenous people, of course, I guess would be the war captives, but the indigenous people were part of the kawa. These were the people that were already here. Do you know what caste you're descended from? Imagine if we weren't Americans, perhaps Hawaii would be like modern-day India. They still have a caste system. Think about it. As I said, unfortunately, most of us native Hawaiians have not been educated in the right history of these islands. We have all been given the slanted or fairy tale version, as I like to call it. This version puts the blame on foreign interference and greed. What could be more greedy than what Kamehameha did? If we'd only go to the library, do a Google search, etc., we could get it right. No excuse for misinformation. Okay, I'm going to go over some points. Number one. Hang on a sec here. Like I said, I'm reading from my page. Number one, Kamehameha slaughtered thousands, possibly, probably tens of thousands of Hawaiians in his quest to unite, quote unquote, these islands, and forced his will on the conquered, like any conqueror. Okay, what of the legacy, history, religion, descendants, etc. of the defeated ali'i? My family is from Kauai. We are definitely not descended from Kamehameha and his people from the Big Island. Number three, for almost 1,000 years, the migrations from Tahiti ruled these islands. They slaughtered, tortured, and enslaved indigenous people who were already here. Kamehameha was one of the last descendants that ruled in the brutal footsteps of his ancestors. What if Kamehameha had been white? He'd be the most reviled person in our history. We certainly would not have a Camp Day parade. What if? We all know that English sailors Davis and Young were an integral part of Kamehameha's campaign to unite the islands. He liked them so much, or he was so enamored by them, that he made both of them ali'i nui. Ali'i nui John Young had most of the Big Island as his kingdom up until he died in his 90s. Now what if Kamehameha had been mortally wounded and on his deathbed instructed Keikohaupiu and his war chief to follow and obey ali'i nui John Young? Would we be celebrating John Young Day? Of course not. To put it all in perspective, simply compare what Kamehameha did, slaughtering thousands, to the blood schools supported by the U.S. Number six, as I mentioned before, there were people living here before the Tahitian migration. Now, are you a descendant of the indigenous people or the Tahitian immigrants? Most of us don't know. Number seven, Most of us Native Hawaiians are of mixed blood. Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Portuguese, Spanish, Caucasian, etc. Our ancestors have been here post-Kamehameha for over 100 years, some for over 150. They've contributed a lot to what is our aloha spirit and the Hawaiian culture as we know it today. Even though they don't have Hawaiian blood, I feel that they are as Native Hawaiian as those of us with Hawaiian blood. Basically, we are all immigrants. There was an indigenous people already living here when the first Tahitian immigration arrived. So the rest of us, whether we like it or not, are immigrants. Quit pointing fingers. We are basically still under the influence of Kamehameha. He conquered these islands and forced his will on the defeated. We still live under his legacy to this day. Look around. All the major landowners, kamaaina companies, trusts, estates, etc. are all connected to Kamehameha's legacy. What was life like for our ancestors from Maui, Molokai, Oahu, Kauai, and Niihau before Kamehameha? Think about it. What would it be like if an army invaded us today, killed thousands of our leaders and their families, took our property away, and gave it to those who were part of the conquering entity? I bet most of you never really thought about that. Why do you think that most Hawaiians embrace Christianity so willingly? Finally, a loving God, one that would not demand death for numerous infractions and kapu. Only the Ali'ian priests were allowed to worship in the sacred places. Back in the day, all of those protesters on sacred land today, unless they were Ali'i or Kahuna, would be sacrificed and killed. I don't understand why some people are embracing that religion. That religion was basically for the Ali'i and the Kahuna. The rest of us, and most of us are Maka'ainana or Kawa, we were not part of that religion. We were used as sacrifices, to that religion. It was not very beneficial to the common people. Only the Ali'i and the Kahuna. That's why almost all of the Hawaiians dropped their old religion and became Christians. Now remember it was Queen Ka'ahumanu who abolished the kapu system before the missionaries came. Hewa Hewa, the highest ranking kahuna at that time, set fire to his heiau and went to Kauai High, where the first missionaries arrived, to welcome the new god. Activists keep pointing at the illegal overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani. First of all, King Kalakaua set up the provisional government and signed a reciprocity treaty with the United States. He wanted to be aligned with the United States. Queen Liliuokalani did not. As soon as he died, the Queen tried to negate everything that King Kalakaua had done. She fired or removed the provisional government that he had put into place. And she even sent a delegation to Washington to plead her case. However, I can't believe this. The members of her delegation did not follow her instructions, but opted for alignment with the United States. Of course, now the rest is history. So, at that time, non-Hawaiians in these islands outnumbered Hawaiians or Native Hawaiians, quote unquote, 4-1. So what does that tell you? The majority of the people wanted to be part of the United States. They did not want to go back to the monarchy. Do you blame them? What would you do if you had a choice? Okay, now this thing about reparations. Reparations from the U.S. for land that was stolen. What about reparations from Kamehameha's descendants to the descendants of the vanquished people in Maui, Molokai, Oahu, Niihau, and Kauai. You know, I feel any talk of reparations is a moot point. You know, why bother? You know, forget about it. Move on. For some reason, all we hear about is what non-Hawaiians, foreigners, etc. did to take away the land, religion, and sovereignty in these islands. If you're going to point fingers, you need to also point out what Kamehameha did too. Compare these truths. Now who and what was worse? Also, another thing. Think of what Kamehameha's descendants and Kamehameha's legacy has contributed to these islands. And then on the other hand, you compare what the United States has contributed to these islands. There's no comparison. Pretty much Kamehameha's descendants have kept everything for themselves. The United States has given a lot back to Hawaii. How come nobody ever mentions that? Okay, we need to educate the younger generations of Native Hawaiians to the right Hawaiian history, and not the fairy tale and slanted version that we have been taught for all these years, even today. Let's get it right, guys. Well, you know, I hope this has opened some eyes. I know it's gonna tick some people off, but hey, you know, you can't deny the truth. You know, all I'm saying is look it up yourself. Go to the library, do a Google search. You know, just because I wrote it and I say I got it and it's true, you know, that doesn't mean anything. Do it yourself. You know, we're gonna move forward. We need to get it right. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Thanks for listening. Hope it makes you think. Hope it opens up some eyes. Anyway, Al Gonzalez. Mahalo. Aloha.